Rosetta Stone Review 2021. Is it worth the money? Welcome to Magical Fluency, a place for you to get tips on language learning. For me, I bought Rosetta Stone Unlimited Languages for lifetime. In this video, we will discuss both the advantages and disadvantages of using Rosetta Stone in 2021. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Let's begin with the Rosetta Stone Immersion Method. Well, Rosetta Stone is famous for this immersion method. But what is the meaning of immersion? That is the way you learned your first language. At that time, there were no translations. You just learned wherever you were, by listening, by speaking, reading, and writing. That way is the immersion method, so you don't have to translate any words. Everything goes into your brain automatically. That is a natural method of learning languages. Many people think that learning a language is about learning vocabulary and learning how to speak. However, learning a language should be more than that. If you would like to be fluent, you have to know how to think in that language. Often, it will take a very long time before you can respond to others if you are speaking non-native languages. This is because you learned it through the method of translations. Your brain has to process a few different things if you know through translations. First, your brain has to translate the words into your native language. Then, your brain thinks in your native language. Afterwards, after processing, it translates the native language back to the conversation you need to say. In that case, the time you need will be too much. As a result, it is not ideal. Therefore, Rosetta Stone doesn't use translation to teach. It directly uses pictures and words to introduce you to a new vocabulary. Then, it will tell you how you can use the vocabularies to form sentences. After that, through deductive reasoning, you will be introduced to even more vocabularies. Let's just take this as an example. There are two pictures at first. It asks you to read out a boy and a girl with the words next to or above it. Then, on another screen, it is going to give you some sentences. You have to match the pictures into the sentences or sentences into the photographs. Since there are only one picture with the boy, you will know that it is the picture on the left. After that, your brain will kind of know what eats and orange means after seeing that picture. You already used deductive reasoning. The next plus of Rosetta Stone is its speech recognition technology. It is one of the most advanced on the market. I recommend you switch the difficulty level to 7 instead of the default of 4. It is going to help you similar your voice is with the recording. If it is very different, it will ask you to repeat it and keep trying. It will keep asking you and let you try until you try the correct one. Another exciting feature of Rosetta Stone is the live tutoring session. Now, most people think that they have to pay for expensive tutorings outside to have a human to correct their voice. However, it is not the case if you have a Rosetta Stone subscription. It is not very expensive, at less than $20 per session, I think, if I don't remember incorrectly. A human tutor is going to start using what you've learned and had a discussion. You can either choose the more expensive version, private tutoring, or the cheaper version, group tutoring. An actual human is going to teach you. However, I do think that a session is too short. The final advantage that Rosetta Stone outstands other major language learning software is its extensive learning resources. Through these kinds of fast learning resources, the users can make sure that they can learn in a fun way. For example, there are some games. Also, there are some stories for you to read. Those stories will mainly include the words that you have learned. For words that you have never tried before, it will give you an image if you hover your mouse next to it. You can kind of guess that meaning by using context and the picture it is given. Let's jump to disadvantages. The first disadvantage that I must have to point out is the grammar part. It is very confusing, especially when the level is higher. Yes, I know it is part of the immersion process. However, the grammar is confusing. Sometimes it doesn't give you enough examples, so you may not find out why yourself. After the lesson, I always completely forgot all the things I learned in the grammar lesson after learning with Rosetta Stone. But of course, currently, I don't think there's any other language learning software that teaches grammar very well. Perhaps Busuu? Well, also, Rosetta Stone isn't ideal for Asian languages. Imagine for a second that you are learning Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. It doesn't tell you how you can write the words, form the words, or give you words with many strokes. Therefore, we can see that it's not very good for learning Asian languages. So finally, do I recommend Rosetta Stone? Well, I would say it depends on which language you would like to learn. For most of the Latin-based languages, Rosetta Stone is suitable. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe if you like it, and put a like if you do. Share with your friends if you like. Now I'm gonna turn it over to you. Do you think that Rosetta Stone is a good language learning app, or do you think Duolingo is better? Put your thoughts in the comments below.